Welcome back, everyone. Now, in recent times, we have seen an increase in the numbers of Islamic banks. Now, any person of Islamic faith would tell you that Sharia prohibits the payment or acceptance of specific interest or fees for loans of money. At the same time, investing in businesses that provide goods or services considered contrary to Islamic principles is also haram. Now, while these principles were used as the basis for a flourishing economy in earlier times, it is only in the late 20th century that a number of Islamic banks were formed to apply these principles within the Muslim community. Let's learn from someone who is considered to be the architect of Islamic banking in Pakistan. He spent 6 years as Director Islamic Banking SPP as well as being the advisor to the Governor SPP. Please welcome Mr. Pervez Said, President and CEO of Dawood Islamic Bank Limited. Good morning. How are you?
Absolutely fine, thank you.
Good to have you here this morning.
Pleasure.
And very timely as well, I must say, because Ramzan is just around the corner and people tend to, start relearning everything there is to learn about Islam, and of course banking is a part of it. Now tell us, what's the difference primarily?
Primarily, in very shortly speaking, banking is banking, whether Islamic or conventional, but the methods used in Islamic banking to provide you the functionality that you need is not based on money lending contracts as it is in the conventional banking. Meaning conventional banking is interest based and Islamic banking is non-interest based, yet it meets your financial needs just as well or even better than the conventional bank does.
Okay, but how does that work out? Because I would expect that is how banks would make money, through interest. If there is no interest involved,
the conventional banks make money by lending money onwards on interest. Islamic banks earn money by trading with other business partners using the money of their own and that of the depositors in a form of a partnership.
Okay.
For example, if you were, let's say, a mill owner and you wanted to use some machinery, you could go to a conventional bank, borrow the money and buy the machine. You could come to us, we can buy the machine and rent it out to you. So that rent becomes our income, just like the interest becomes the income of the conventional bank. The conventional bank would then give depositors a fixed return, whereas we will share with the depositors the income that we are getting as a rental.
Okay, interesting, and it's slightly confusing, but I do think it makes sense. So the basic difference would be instead of lending out the money to that person, you would actually buy that thing and then rent it out.
So what really happens is that while conventional banking, like I said, is a purely money lending business, Islamic bank therefore is basically a business based banking. It's involved in the business far more directly, and it removes that one single step of money lending. And the effect of that is, first, the system becomes a little more efficient in terms of economic distribution, and also they say in the bank that works without interest is more interested, because we are into business ourselves, we understand the business much better, we need to. And last but not the least, in fact first and foremost for Muslims, that since riba is prohibited for us, interest cannot be taken or given, therefore we cannot do any business based on money lending, whereas we can do business based on the methodologies used by Islamic banking. You will make just as much money if you are a depositor, and you will get as much benefit when you are the user of the money as you do in conventional banking, but it's just the right way of doing it.
Okay, I was reading somewhere, and I was reading about this yesterday, about this concept of sharing profit and loss also in Islamic banking. How does that work out?
Actually, again, I keep referring back to interest-based banking, but just let me clarify for you. Interest-based banking depends on one very simple contract, and that contract is a promissory note. Meaning, I'll give you so much money, you return me so much after such period of time. Islamic banking has, about 20 odd different contracts, each complete in itself, ranging from debt to equity. Now, the contract that we have named is called Musharka, the profit and loss sharing. It's an equity-based instrument. There are also debt-based instruments, there are also fixed income instruments, etc., etc. Yes, that is one instrument. In fact, most of the depositors that the banks raise from the depositors are based either on Musharka or Mudaraba. whereby the depositor goes into partnership with the bank in the business that bank is going to do and share profits with them, or they appoint bank as their agent to invest their money into the businesses and then give them the profit of that business.
Okay. So obviously it is in their well-being that the bank does well.
Exactly, and it is in the well-being of the society as well, because at the end of the day, if all the depositors are directly involved in the business themselves, then I have a feeling that everybody in the society becomes socially a little more responsible. You're not going to go out and burn factories and stuff out there during some strikes or whatever. When you know whatever you're burning your own business, because that's where your money is invested in. So you'll be very careful about economic activity and everything that affects it.
I was reading your, Pervez Said, your background as well, and 30 years banking experience, more than 30 years banking experience, and director Islamic banking. Now you would be the right person to know the difference between the two systems.
Actually, the last statement is correct. I would be probably a right person to know the difference, but my works experience is 30 years, fine. But it's split about 15 years in banking and 15 years non-banking. I was in FMGCs, for example. I worked for Unilever. I worked for Reckitt Benckiser, Exxon. I was the chief executive of Johnson & Johnson in Pakistan. I worked for Citibank as well, conventional banking. I came to Islamic banking purely for reasons of conviction. I really believe, I know that riba is haram. It should not be practiced in any shape or form. That's one. Secondly, that's not just good enough. Good enough, what we need to do is give people a system, an alternate system.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, economic activity would take place. Money needs to be managed. And if there is no alternate system in the society available other than money lending, then what choice do people have? So with that in mind, I came into Islamic banking, was to help this country, this society build an alternate system which was tried and tested elsewhere. And that's what we did in Pakistan, at least at the State Bank of Pakistan. When I was the director there, it gave me a chance to be part of a team that made up the policies, promoted Islamic banking, we established Islamic banking, number of licenses issued. MashaAllah, for the last 7 years, Islamic banking has grown at the rate of 1% every year, market share-wise. You would say 1% is nothing, maybe. But if you see it in a context, for example, Bahrain has been doing Islamic banking for the last 30 years. And now their market share is 8% in 30 years. Malaysia, which is considered really a fast moving country in Islamic finance, their market share is about 12% in 25 years. So our market share of 1% per year, every year, means we have twice as fast than Malaysia and much faster than Bahrain, the two countries.
And we were talking about, Bahrain and Malaysia examples, and they have been doing it for 30 years. How long have we been doing it?
Actually, we started in 1984 with General Jaya introduced Islamic banking, but that whole initiative got derailed totally. So we started sort of in 2001, but in a full-fledged way, we started in 2003 when State Bank, for example, established for the first time a department for Islamic banking.
So it's not even been 10 years?
Yes. And from an international point of view, and if you compare us, for example, Indonesia is the largest Islamic country from the point of view of population. Their share in about 10 years is 1.36%. So if you compare Pakistan's progress, it's been tremendous.
Exactly. Now, how has the risk, of course,
Pakistan's progress, it's been tremendous.
Exactly. Now, how has the risk, of course it's doing so well and the figures should give us an idea of that, but still your personal opinion, how well have the people of Pakistan responded to an alternative, which is Islamic banking?
Again, the fact, like I said, the test of the pudding is in its taste. The fact of the matter is that we are getting the best growth rates if you compare internationally. And I'll give you an example of my bank. You understand that, the economic conditions, everybody is well aware. It's very, very difficult, in fact, almost impossible to attract any foreign direct investment into this country at this point of time. Despite that, our shareholders, majority of them being ICD and Unicorn, they just placed in about 2 billion rupees of fresh investment. We got in the FDI. What does that mean? That means a couple of things. One, that these investors who are international investors and have choices to invest their money anywhere in the world have a positive outlook on the economy of Pakistan, and within the economy of Pakistan they have a very positive outlook on Islamic banking.
Right.
So, you know, if people are willing or international investors are willing to put their money where their mouths are, you can understand that they also see it as a industry with a good potential even from outside Pakistan.
But it doesn't, if we have international investments or investors in Islamic banking in Pakistan and even in the bank that you are, Dawood Islamic Bank, does not that clash with their interest in any way?
How would that clash with that?
I have no idea. That's
No,
just a
it
question.
doesn't clash that at all, because at the end of the day these business houses, at least the ones that are with us, they have two primary objectives. One is of course commercial objectives. They need to invest where they can make money. Secondly, all of them are internationally committed to Islamic finance. They already are in Islamic finance business in many parts of the world and doing mashallah quite well. So with their expertise and their money and their commitment to this industry and commitment to Islamic finance, they see Pakistan, in my opinion, as a very good potential to invest their money in.